Brain Chemistry Secrets. Optimize your hormones for peak motivation. A motivational audiobook by Astrian. Have you ever woken up some days feeling like you could climb any mountain, solve any problem, and take on the whole world? Then, on other days, have you felt stuck on the couch, unable to start even a simple task, wondering where your get-up-and-go disappeared to? Most people think this is just about having a strong will or a weak personality, but the truth is far more exciting and simple than that. You are not lazy or broken on those low-energy days. Your brain is simply running a different chemical program than on your high-energy days. Inside your head, a powerful laboratory is constantly mixing potent formulas that dictate exactly how motivated, happy, and connected you feel every single moment. The incredible news is that you are not a passenger in this lab. You are the head chemist in charge. This book is your personal, easy-to-follow guide to understanding these amazing brain chemicals, and more importantly, learning how to mix them yourself to create a life filled with drive and purpose. We are going to meet the fantastic 4 chemicals that control your mood, and you will learn simple, everyday tricks to boost them naturally. Get ready to take control of your internal chemistry and unlock the motivated, energized person you were always meant to be. For too long, the idea of motivation has been wrapped in mystery and guilt, leaving people to blame themselves when they can't find the drive to pursue their dreams. We are told to just try harder or push through. But that advice ignores the beautiful biological machine that is your body and brain. Think of your brain as a highly advanced smartphone. It has amazing potential, but it needs the right battery charge and the right apps running to function at its best. The chemicals in your brain are those apps, and when one of them is running low, the whole system feels sluggish and unresponsive. The secret to peak motivation isn't about gritting your teeth through life. It's about understanding these chemical signals and responding to them with care and knowledge. You will soon discover that feelings of confidence, connection, and excitement are not random gifts from the universe, but biological responses you can trigger on command. By the time you finish this introduction, you will already start seeing your daily ups and downs in a whole new, hopeful light. We are about to embark on a journey to the control center of your own experience, and trust me, it is the most exciting trip you will ever take. Let's open the door to your inner laboratory and meet the team that's been working for you all along. Chapter 1. Your brain's happy helpers meet the Fantastic Four. Imagine your brain as a busy, high-tech headquarters, and working inside are 4 specialized employees, each with a unique job to keep you happy, healthy, and moving forward. These aren't just any employees. They are your personal motivation team, and their names are Dopamine, Serotonin, Oxytocin, and Endorphins. You might have heard these names before in complicated science articles, but here, we are going to treat them like the friendly, hardworking teammates they truly are. Each one has a specific task that directly affects how you feel from moment to moment, whether you are chasing a goal, relaxing with a friend, or pushing through a tough workout. The first step to becoming the boss of your own brain is to get to know these 4 helpers personally and understand what makes them show up for work. You wouldn't try to manage a team without knowing their strengths, and you can't manage your mood without knowing yours. They are the reason you feel proud, loved, excited, and strong, and they are waiting for you to give them directions. Let's formally introduce you to the Fantastic Four and see how they can transform your life from the inside out. The first member of your Fantastic Four is Dopamine, and you can think of him as the project manager who thrives on goals and achievements. His entire job is to give you a burst of energy and excitement whenever you are working towards something you want, making the chase feel just as good as the reward. Next, we have Serotonin, the calm and confident leader who makes you feel respected, important, and at peace with yourself and your place in the world. Then there is Oxytocin, the warm and friendly team builder who creates feelings of trust, love, and deep connection with the people around you. Finally, we have Endorphins, the tough and resilient bodyguards who act as natural painkillers, helping you push through discomfort and laugh off life's little pains. Together, this team runs the show, influencing every decision you make and every emotion you feel, often without you even realizing it. When they are working together in harmony, you feel unstoppable, motivated, and deeply satisfied with your life. When one of them is slacking off or is blocked by stress, your whole system feels the drag, and motivation can seem miles away. Your new mission, should you choose to accept it, is to learn exactly how to keep this incredible team happy and productive so they can work their magic for you every single day. Now, you might be wondering why you've never been properly introduced to your own internal team before, and that's a great question. Schools teach us about history and math, but they rarely teach us about the beautiful chemistry happening right inside our own heads. The truth is, for a long time, scientists thought these chemicals were just automatic responses we had no control over, like a knee-jerk reaction. But modern science is now revealing a much more empowering truth. Our daily habits, thoughts, and choices directly influence how much of these chemicals our brains produce. You have the power to send your team to work just by deciding to take a specific action, like smiling at a stranger or completing a small task. This means that motivation is not a mysterious force that strikes like lightning. It's a biological state you can cultivate like a garden. You simply need the right tools and the right knowledge to water the seeds of drive and pull the weeds of doubt. This book is that toolbox, and it's packed with simple, effective strategies that anyone can use, regardless of age or background. The moment you accept that you are the manager of this team, you stop feeling like a victim of your moods and start feeling like the creator of your own reality. Get ready to become the best boss your Fantastic Four has ever had. Think of your brain chemicals as a powerful sports team that needs the right coach to win the championship. You wouldn't expect a basketball team to win games if the players didn't know their positions, or if the coach just yelled at them without a plan, right? That's exactly what happens when we go through life without understanding our own chemistry. We are leaving our star players on the bench while we struggle to play the game alone. Dopamine is your star point guard, driving the ball toward the goal and creating opportunities for excitement and progress. Serotonin is your steady captain, keeping the team calm and confident even when the score is tight. Oxytocin is your playmaker, ensuring the team passes the ball and works together in perfect harmony. Endorphins are your tough defenders, blocking the pain and allowing you to keep playing even when you're tired. When you understand each player's role, you can start calling the right plays to lead your team to victory. This chapter is your coaching clinic, where you'll learn the fundamentals of how your brain's dream team operates and how you can finally start directing them toward a winning life. Many people spend their entire lives feeling at the mercy of their moods, waking up each day unsure if they'll feel motivated or miserable, anxious or calm. They might try to force motivation through sheer willpower, but that's like trying to push a car that's run out of gas. It's exhausting and it barely moves. The secret is that you don't need to push the car. You just need to refill the tank with the right fuel for your Fantastic Four. When your dopamine is flowing, you naturally feel like getting things done without having to force it. When your serotonin is high, you naturally feel confident and resistant to the opinions of others. When oxytocin fills your heart, you naturally feel supported and brave enough to take risks. And when endorphins kick in, you naturally find the strength to overcome obstacles that would have stopped you before. This is not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming a more aware and empowered version of the person you already are. You are simply learning to speak the language your brain has been speaking your whole life, a language of chemicals and feelings. Once you become fluent in this language, you can finally ask for exactly what you need and receive it every time. As we close this first chapter, take a moment to appreciate the incredible machine you live inside, a machine that is constantly working to help you survive and thrive. Your Fantastic Four are not your enemies when you feel down. They are just messengers telling you that something is out of balance. A low mood isn't a sign of weakness. It's a signal from your team that they need a different type of support or activity to get back on track. Perhaps your dopamine team is bored and needs a new challenge, or your oxytocin team is lonely and needs connection. Instead of judging yourself for feeling unmotivated, you can now get curious and ask, which of my fantastic four needs a boost today? This simple shift in perspective, from self-criticism to self-inquiry, is the foundation of all lasting change. You are becoming a detective of your own inner world, gathering clues about what makes you feel alive and what drains your energy. The rest of this book will give you the specific tools to solve these cases and keep your internal team performing at their peak. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and you've just taken the most important one by deciding to meet the crew that makes the journey possible. Welcome to the most exciting adventure you'll ever embark on, the adventure of mastering your own mind. Chapter 2: Dopamine, the Let's Go molecule. Have you ever felt that electric jolt of excitement when you're about to open a gift, start a new project, or even just order your favorite coffee? That little buzz of anticipation, that feeling of, I want that and I'm going to get it, is the beautiful work of your brain chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is not actually about the moment you receive the reward, as most people think. It's about the thrilling journey of chasing it, the motivation to move towards something you desire. It is the fuel in your engine that transforms a thought like, I should exercise, into the action of actually tying your shoes and going for a run. Without enough dopamine, even the simplest tasks can feel like climbing a mountain, because your brain simply doesn't have the chemical fuel to start the engine. This amazing molecule is your internal cheerleader, constantly whispering, keep going, you're getting closer, this is going to be great. It pushes you to learn new skills, explore new places, and reach for your biggest dreams, making the effort feel rewarding in itself. Understanding dopamine is the first and most crucial step to unlocking a life where motivation flows naturally, because this is the chemical that literally makes you want to move. When you learn how to manage your dopamine levels, you stop waiting for motivation to strike and start creating it whenever you need it. Think of dopamine as your brain's very own reward system, a tiny little pat on the back that it gives you whenever you take a step toward a goal, no matter how small that step might be. Every time you answer an email, finish a chore, or even just think about a positive future event, your brain releases a tiny squirt of dopamine that feels good. This feel-good sensation is not just a random reward. It's a clever biological trick designed to make you want to repeat that behavior again. Our ancient ancestors got dopamine bursts from finding food or building shelter, actions that kept them alive, and we have inherited this same system. In our modern world, this system can work for us to help us achieve amazing things, or it can be hijacked by things like social media and junk food that give cheap, quick dopamine hits without real effort. The secret to using dopamine for peak motivation is to train your brain to enjoy the process of working toward meaningful, long-term goals. You want to become someone who gets a dopamine rush from making progress on your dreams, not just from scrolling through your phone. When you master this, you turn your life into an exciting game where every step forward gives you a little burst of happiness. Now, let's talk about what happens when your dopamine levels run low, because recognizing this state is just as important as enjoying the highs. A dopamine deficit doesn't always feel like sadness. More often, it feels like a profound lack of interest in everything, a gray fog where nothing seems exciting or worth the effort. You might find yourself procrastinating on important tasks, not because you're lazy, but because your brain literally cannot muster the chemical energy to start. Things you used to love might feel boring, and you might spend hours flipping through channels or scrolling online, searching for anything to spark that "let's go" feeling. This state can be incredibly frustrating because you might want to do things, but your body and brain just won't cooperate, leaving you feeling stuck and guilty. It's important to know that this is a chemical state, not a character flaw, and it's something you have the power to change. When you understand that your lack of motivation is simply a lack of dopamine, you can stop beating yourself up and start using the tools in this book to naturally boost your levels. The first tool is simply to move your body, as physical activity is one of the most powerful and immediate ways to wake up your sleepy dopamine system and get it working for you again. One of the most exciting secrets about dopamine is that it loves novelty, which means your brain releases more of this motivation chemical when you try new things. This is why going on vacation to a new place feels so invigorating, or why starting a new hobby can suddenly make you feel more alive and energetic. Your brain is wired to pay attention to anything new because, for our ancestors, a new environment could mean new opportunities for food or new dangers to avoid. In our daily lives, we can use this ancient wiring to our advantage by deliberately introducing small doses of novelty into our routines. This could be as simple as taking a different route to work, trying a new recipe for dinner, or listening to a genre of music you've never explored before. These small changes signal your brain to release dopamine, giving you a little motivational boost that can carry over into other areas of your life. When you feel stuck in a rut, it's often because your environment has become too predictable and your dopamine system has gone to sleep. By becoming a seeker of new experiences, you keep your motivation system fresh, alert, and ready for action. You become the kind of person who is always curious and engaged, simply by feeding your brain the novelty it craves. Another powerful way to manage your dopamine is to understand the concept of the dopamine detox, which sounds scary but is actually a very gentle and helpful practice. Because we live in a world of constant stimulation, with notifications, videos, and endless information always at our fingertips, our dopamine receptors can become overwhelmed and less sensitive. It's like eating candy all day long until even the sweetest cake doesn't taste good anymore. Your brain gets numb to the pleasure. A dopamine detox is simply a period where you step away from these high-stimulation activities to let your brain's reward system reset and become sensitive again. This doesn't mean you have to go live in a cave. It can be as simple as spending an hour without your phone, going for a walk in nature, or sitting quietly with your thoughts. During this time, your brain starts to find pleasure in simpler things, like the warmth of the sun or the sound of birds, and your motivation for real-world goals begins to return. When you limit the cheap, easy dopamine hits from screens, you make space for your brain to get excited about the more meaningful pursuits in your life. You are essentially clearing the clutter from your mental workspace so your motivation can breathe again. This practice helps you take back control from the apps and devices that are designed to keep you hooked and gives it back to you. As we wrap up our deep dive into dopamine, remember that this powerful chemical is your best friend on the path to a motivated life. It is the force that turns your dreams into actions and your actions into habits, creating a beautiful cycle of progress and reward. Every time you break a big goal into tiny steps and celebrate each small victory, you are feeding your dopamine system exactly what it needs to keep you going. Every time you choose to move your body, try something new, or resist the pull of endless scrolling, you are telling your brain that real-life achievements are the things that deserve a chemical reward. You are no longer a slave to random bursts of motivation. You are becoming a master of your own internal fuel supply. Start paying attention today to the small things that give you that "let's go" feeling, and do more of them. Notice when you feel flat and unmotivated, and instead of judging yourself, ask what you can do to gently wake up your sleepy dopamine. You have the power to flip the switch from "I can't" to "I can" by understanding and working with this incredible molecule. The journey to peak motivation starts right here, with the simple but profound knowledge that you can learn to light your own fire, anytime, anywhere. Chapter 3: How to Flood Your Brain with Dopamine the Fun Way. Now that you've officially met dopamine, your personal "let's go" molecule, it's time to move from theory to action and learn the fun, simple ways to make it flow on demand. Forget complicated routines or difficult exercises. The methods for boosting dopamine are often playful, creative, and surprisingly easy to fit into your busy day. The most important concept to grasp is the power of the tiny win, the idea that you don't need a massive life change to get a dopamine rush. Every time you make your bed in the morning, drink a glass of water, or send that email you've been putting off, your brain rewards you with a little squirt of this motivating chemical. These tiny wins stack up throughout the day, building a foundation of momentum that makes bigger tasks feel possible and even exciting. You are essentially tricking your brain into a state of constant, low-level motivation by simply acknowledging and celebrating your small daily victories. This chapter is your personal playground, filled with fun experiments to see what makes your own dopamine system light up. Get ready to turn your life into a rewarding game where you are guaranteed to win over and over again. One of the most joyful and effective ways to boost dopamine is through the simple act of movement. But we're not talking about grueling workouts at the gym unless that's your idea of fun. Dancing in your kitchen while you cook, stretching for 5 minutes when you wake up, or taking a brisk walk around the block while listening to your favorite podcast are all powerful dopamine triggers. When you move your body, you are literally telling your brain that you are alive and taking action, which is exactly the signal it needs to release motivational chemicals. The key is to find forms of movement that feel like play, not punishment, because your brain will quickly learn to associate exercise with pleasure instead of dread. Think back to when you were a kid and you ran around just for the joy of it, not to burn calories or build muscle. You can reconnect with that feeling by trying activities like hula hooping, jumping on a trampoline, throwing a frisbee, or even just having a silly dance party by yourself. When movement is fun, your dopamine flows freely, and you create a positive feedback loop where you actually look forward to being active. This is the secret to sustaining motivation for fitness, not through willpower, but through the pure, chemical pleasure of play. Another fantastic tool in your dopamine-boosting toolkit is the practice of setting and achieving micro-goals, which are simply your big dreams broken down into laughably small pieces. If your goal is to write a book, your micro-goal might be to write just one sentence. If your goal is to clean the garage, your micro-goal might be to throw away just one piece of trash. These tasks are so easy that there's almost no resistance to starting them, and once you start, the dopamine from that first tiny win often gives you the energy to do just a little bit more. You are using your brain's chemistry to overcome the inertia of getting started, which is always the hardest part of any task. This method works because your brain doesn't distinguish much between a small win and a big win when it comes to dopamine. It just loves achieving a goal you set for yourself. By constantly setting and achieving these micro goals, you keep your motivation system humming all day long. You build confidence as you see yourself making consistent progress, and soon, the idea of tackling larger goals becomes less scary. You are no longer waiting for a giant wave of motivation to hit you. You are creating a steady stream of it through a series of small, deliberate actions. The people you surround yourself with and the conversations you have also play a huge role in your daily dopamine levels, which is a fact most motivation books completely ignore. When you share a goal with an encouraging friend and they get excited for you, your brain gets a preview of the reward, releasing dopamine just from the conversation. Similarly, when you celebrate someone else's success genuinely, your brain releases dopamine as if you had achieved the success yourself, which is a beautiful form of shared joy. This means that being part of a positive, supportive community is like having a free dopamine drip, constantly boosting your motivation through connection. On the flip side, spending time with people who are cynical, negative, or dismissive of your dreams can actually lower your dopamine and kill your drive. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with, not just in your habits, but in your brain chemistry as well. Start seeking out people who light up when you share your ideas, who cheer for your tiny wins, and who are chasing their own goals with enthusiasm. Your dopamine system will thank you, and your motivation will soar as you realize you're not on this journey alone. Finally, we have to talk about the power of anticipation and visualization, because your brain often can't tell the difference between a real experience and a vividly imagined one. When you close your eyes and spend a few minutes really feeling what it will be like to achieve your goal, to feel the pride, the relief, the joy, your brain releases dopamine right then and there. This is not just wishful thinking. It's a powerful chemical rehearsal that primes your brain to actually go after that future reality. Athletes have used visualization for decades to improve performance, and you can use it to boost your motivation for any goal. Imagine the feeling of finishing that project, of receiving that compliment, of standing in your clean and organized space. Let yourself really feel the emotions of success in your body for a few minutes each day. This practice builds a powerful neural pathway that makes your brain believe the goal is achievable and worth pursuing, flooding you with the motivation to make it real. You are essentially giving your brain a taste of the reward before you've even done the work, which creates a powerful craving to close the gap and make the imagined future a reality. By combining tiny wins, playful movement, supportive people, and joyful anticipation, you become a dopamine factory, capable of generating motivation whenever you need it most. Chapter 4. Serotonin, the I Matter molecule. Imagine a feeling of deep, quiet confidence, a sense that you are okay just as you are, and that you have a valuable place in the world. This calm, steady sense of self-worth is the gift of your second Fantastic Four member, a chemical called serotonin. While dopamine is the exciting rush of the chase, serotonin is the peaceful feeling of arriving, the satisfaction of knowing you are respected and that your presence makes a difference. When your serotonin levels are healthy, you are less likely to be rattled by criticism or desperate for attention, because you carry a quiet sense of your own importance within you. This chemical is deeply tied to feelings of pride, social status, and belonging, not in a competitive way, but in a way that says, I belong here and I have something to offer. It's the feeling you get when a leader acknowledges your hard work, when a friend asks for your advice, or when you simply look in the mirror and feel a sense of acceptance. Without enough serotonin, life can feel like a constant search for validation, leaving you anxious, irritable, and unsure of your worth. Learning to boost your serotonin naturally is the key to unlocking a motivation that comes not from fear or urgency, but from a solid foundation of self-respect. One of the most fascinating things about serotonin is how closely it is linked to your physical posture and your perception of your own power in the world. Studies have shown that simply sitting or standing up straight, pulling your shoulders back, and holding your head high can actually increase serotonin levels and decrease stress hormones. This is your body and brain communicating in a silent, powerful language. When you take up space and hold yourself with confidence, your brain gets the message that you are a person of value and importance. Think about how you feel when you are slumped over, looking at your phone, with your shoulders curved inward. This posture often correlates with feelings of low mood and powerlessness. Your body is constantly sending signals to your brain, and you have the power to change those signals with something as simple as adjusting how you carry yourself. Before an important meeting or a difficult conversation, try spending 2 minutes standing in a powerful pose, like with your hands on your hips, and notice how your inner state begins to shift. This isn't just pretend confidence. It's a real, chemical shift that prepares you to face the world with greater calm and self-assurance. You can literally stand tall into a new version of yourself, one who knows they matter. Another powerful and often overlooked way to boost serotonin is through exposure to bright light, particularly natural sunlight in the morning. There is a direct pathway from your eyes to the parts of your brain that produce serotonin, and light is the key that unlocks this production. This is why people often feel a dip in mood during long, dark winters, and why a sunny day can instantly lift your spirits. Your body has an ancient rhythm tied to the sun, and when you get outside early in the day, you are syncing your internal clock and telling your serotonin factories to start production. Even on a cloudy day, being outside is significantly brighter than being inside under artificial lights, so a short morning walk can have a profound effect on your mood for the rest of the day. This simple habit of seeking morning light is one of the most effective and underrated tools for managing your mental health and building a stable sense of well-being. You are not just getting vitamin D. You are giving your brain the raw material it needs to create feelings of calm confidence. Make it a goal to get outside for at least 10 minutes each morning, and watch how your sense of inner peace and self-worth begins to grow. Serotonin is also deeply connected to the practice of gratitude and the act of reflecting on your own past wins and accomplishments. When you take time to consciously remember a time you did something well, helped someone, or overcame a challenge, your brain can release serotonin as if you were experiencing that success again. This is why keeping a simple journal where you write down 3 good things that happened each day can be so transformative for your mood. You are training your brain to scan the world for evidence of your own value and capability, rather than focusing on your failures and shortcomings. This practice builds a mental muscle that makes it easier to access feelings of confidence and self-worth, even when you're facing new challenges. When you feel a wave of self-doubt creeping in, you can deliberately recall a past victory and let the serotonin from that memory wash over you. You are building an internal library of proof that you are a capable, valuable person, and you can visit that library anytime you need a boost. This shifts your motivation from a place of, "I have to prove myself," to, "I already know I am worthy, and I'm excited to see what else I can do." Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and it turns your past into a source of strength for your future. Finally, your serotonin levels are influenced by your sense of contribution and the feeling that you are making a positive difference in the lives of others. This is a profound secret that many people miss in their pursuit of self-esteem. True, stable confidence often comes not from what we get, but from what we give. When you help a colleague, listen to a friend in need, or perform a small act of kindness for a stranger, your brain rewards you with a dose of serotonin. This chemical signal tells you, you are a valuable member of the group. Your presence here matters. This is a deeply rooted biological need because, for our ancestors, being a valued member of the tribe was essential for survival. In our modern, individualistic world, we often forget this need and wonder why we feel empty despite our personal achievements. By actively looking for ways to contribute, whether through volunteering, mentoring, or simply being more present and kind to the people in your daily life, you feed your deep need for significance. You begin to see that your worth is not just about what you do for yourself, but about the positive ripple effects you create in the world around you. This kind of self-worth is unshakable because it's not based on comparison or external validation, but on the real, felt experience of being a force for good. When you know you matter to others, your motivation to show up as your best self becomes natural and effortless. Chapter 5. Simple Tricks to Boost Your Sense of Worth. Now that you understand how amazing serotonin feels, let's get practical and explore the simple, everyday tricks that can raise your levels of this I matter molecule. These aren't huge life overhauls, but small, delightful habits that you can weave into the fabric of your normal day to build a stronger, more confident you. The first trick is one we touched on in the last chapter, but it's so powerful it deserves its own spotlight: the practice of keeping a win jar or a success journal. Find a simple jar or a small notebook, and every evening, write down one thing you did that day that made you feel proud, no matter how small it might seem. It could be that you finally did the dishes, you were patient with a difficult person, or you simply got out of bed on a tough morning. The act of writing it down forces your brain to register the win and gives you a small serotonin boost right then and there. Then, on days when you feel low or forget your worth, you can open the jar or read the notebook and be flooded with evidence of your own capability. This is a physical tool you can use to remind your brain, over and over again, that you are a person of value and achievement. You are literally collecting proof of your own worth. Another wonderfully simple trick to boost your sense of self-worth is to practice the art of giving genuine compliments to others, freely and often. This might seem counterintuitive, as we usually think feeling good comes from receiving praise, not giving it. But when you look for the good in someone else and take the time to express it, your brain releases serotonin because it reinforces your role as a positive, perceptive, and generous person. You are essentially telling your own brain, I am the kind of person who notices the light in others, which boosts your own sense of identity and value. Start small by complimenting a barista on their smile, a coworker on their presentation, or a friend on their new haircut, and really mean it. Notice how it feels in your body when you see their face light up from your kind words. That warmth you feel is your own serotonin flowing. You are creating a ripple of positivity that benefits both them and you, building a social environment where appreciation is the norm. This habit shifts your focus from what's wrong with the world to what's right with it, and it positions you as a source of that rightness. The more you give appreciation, the more your own brain learns to appreciate you. Your sense of worth is also deeply tied to how you care for your physical body, as your brain is constantly monitoring your actions to determine how valuable you must be to yourself. When you feed your body nutritious food, get enough sleep, or take a moment to stretch, you are sending a powerful signal to your subconscious that says, "I am someone who deserves care and respect." This may sound simple, but it's a profound truth. Your self-worth is built not just by your thoughts, but by your daily actions toward yourself. If you constantly neglect your basic needs, stay up too late, and eat food that makes you feel sluggish, your brain gets the message that you are not a priority, even to yourself. On the other hand, when you treat your body like a temple, even in small ways, your serotonin levels rise in response to this self-respect. This doesn't mean you need a perfect diet or a strict routine. It means making small, loving choices throughout the day. Choosing water over soda, going to bed 15 minutes earlier, or taking 5 deep breaths when you feel stressed are all acts of self-care that build self-worth. You are literally telling your brain, "I matter," with every kind choice you make. The people you spend time with have a massive impact on your serotonin levels, as we are social creatures who are deeply affected by the emotional atmosphere around us. If you are constantly around people who put you down, ignore your contributions, or make you feel small, your brain will naturally produce less serotonin over time. Your sense of worth is not meant to be a solo act. It is nourished and reflected by the tribe you choose. This means that one of the most powerful tricks for boosting your own self-worth is to consciously spend more time with people who make you feel seen, respected, and valued. Seek out friends, family members, or even new groups where your ideas are heard. Your presence is appreciated, and you feel a sense of belonging. You might need to have difficult conversations or even distance yourself from people who consistently drain your sense of value, and this is an act of profound self-respect. You are curating your social environment to support the person you want to become, just as a gardener pulls weeds to let the flowers grow. When you are surrounded by people who reflect your worth back to you, maintaining high serotonin becomes almost effortless. Finally, we come to a trick that might feel a little uncomfortable at first, but is incredibly powerful: learning to receive compliments and praise gracefully. Many of us have been taught to be modest, so when someone says something nice, we deflect it with comments like, "Oh, it was nothing," or "anyone could have done it." Every time you do this, you are denying your brain a dose of serotonin and reinforcing the idea that you are not worthy of praise. Your brain learns to block out the good things people say about you, which keeps your self-worth low. Instead, when someone gives you a genuine compliment, try a simple experiment. Just say, "Thank you." Let their words land. Let yourself feel the warmth of their appreciation for just a few seconds before moving on. You might even add, "That's really kind of you to say," to acknowledge their gesture. This simple act of receiving rewires your brain to accept positive feedback as truth, rather than rejecting it. You are allowing the social bonding and validation that your serotonin system craves to actually reach you. With practice, receiving praise will feel less awkward and more like the natural, nourishing exchange it is meant to be. You are worthy of the good things people see in you, and by learning to accept their words, you are giving yourself permission to believe it too. Chapter 6: Oxytocin, the Trust Glue. Have you ever felt that warm, fuzzy feeling when you hug someone you love, or that deep sense of calm when you're sitting quietly with a close friend? That beautiful bonding sensation is the work of your third Fantastic Four member, a chemical called oxytocin, and it acts as the social glue that holds our relationships together. While dopamine is the rush of the chase and serotonin is the quiet pride of self-worth, oxytocin is the gentle warmth of connection, the feeling of "I am safe with you." This incredible molecule is released during moments of physical affection, like hugging, holding hands, or even just a warm pat on the back, signaling to your brain that you are in the company of someone you can trust. It is also released when you share a vulnerable moment, when you laugh together, or when you cooperate with someone to achieve a common goal. Oxytocin is the reason why strong communities and close families create such a powerful sense of well-being. It literally makes us feel calmer, safer, and more motivated to care for one another. Without enough oxytocin, the world can feel like a cold, lonely place where you have to face every challenge alone. Learning to boost this chemical is essential for building the supportive relationships that fuel lasting motivation and resilience. Think of oxytocin as your brain's natural anti-anxiety medicine, because when it's flowing, it actively counteracts the effects of stress hormones like cortisol. When you are with someone you trust and you feel that bond of connection, your body physically relaxes, your heart rate slows, and your nervous system shifts from fight or flight mode into rest and digest mode. This is why simply talking to a good friend about a problem can make it feel half as heavy. Their presence and your bond literally change your brain chemistry. This chemical safety net allows you to take risks, pursue goals, and face challenges that would otherwise feel too scary to tackle alone. Knowing that you have people in your corner, people who have your back, gives you a motivational boost that comes from deep security rather than from frantic energy. You are braver when you are not alone, and oxytocin is the biological reason why. It reminds us that we are not isolated individuals fighting for survival, but members of a tribe, and that our greatest strength often comes from our connections to others. When you feel truly connected, your motivation is no longer just about personal gain. It becomes about contributing to a group you love and trust. One of the most powerful ways to boost your oxytocin is through the simple, often underestimated act of giving someone a genuine, warm hug. In our busy, touch-averse modern world, we have forgotten that physical touch is a biological need, not just a nice extra. A hug lasting at least 20 seconds has been shown to significantly release oxytocin and lower blood pressure, creating a tangible feeling of calm and connection. This doesn't mean you need to hug strangers, but making a point to hug your partner, your children, your parents, or your close friends regularly can have a profound impact on your mood and your sense of safety. If you live alone or don't have people close by to hug, petting an animal can also trigger oxytocin release, which is why therapy animals are so effective at reducing stress. Even a warm handshake or a gentle touch on the arm during a conversation can send small signals of trust and connection through this chemical pathway. You are literally reaching out and gluing yourself to another person through the language of touch. In a world that often feels disconnected, a simple hug can be a radical act of self-care and a powerful tool for chemical well-being. Another profound way to stimulate oxytocin is through the practice of vulnerability, which means sharing your true feelings, fears, and struggles with someone you trust. This might seem scary because we are often taught to hide our weaknesses, but research shows that mutual vulnerability is the fastest way to build deep, trusting bonds. When you share something personal and the other person responds with kindness and acceptance, both of your brains release oxytocin, strengthening the trust between you. This creates a beautiful feedback loop where trust allows for vulnerability, and vulnerability then creates even more trust and connection. You are essentially telling the other person, "I feel safe enough with you to show you my real self," which is one of the greatest gifts you can give in a relationship. This doesn't mean you should overshare with everyone you meet, but gradually opening up to your closest people can deepen your bonds immeasurably. These deep connections become your support system, the people who cheer you on when you're motivated and catch you when you fall. Knowing you have people who truly know you and accept you anyway is a source of motivation that no amount of individual willpower can match. Finally, oxytocin is powerfully stimulated by acts of generosity and cooperation, by working together with others toward a shared goal. When you help someone without expecting anything in return, or when you collaborate on a project and experience the joy of creating something together, your brain floods with this connection chemical. This is why team sports, group volunteer work, and even office parties can feel so good. They tap into our ancient need to bond through shared effort. In our individualistic society, we often focus on solo achievement, but our brains are wired to find deep satisfaction in collective success. When you are part of a team working towards something meaningful, you get the dopamine from your personal progress and the oxytocin from the shared bond with your teammates. This combination is incredibly powerful and can sustain motivation through difficult times when personal drive might falter. You are not just working for yourself. You are working for the group, and the group is working for you. Seek out opportunities to cooperate, to give, and to be part of something bigger than yourself, and let the warm glue of oxytocin build a network of support that will carry you toward your biggest dreams. Chapter 7. Building Bridges to Fuel Your Fire. Now that you know how wonderful and essential oxytocin is for your motivation, let's talk about the practical steps you can take to build more of these connection bridges in your everyday life. Building bridges of trust and friendship doesn't have to be a huge, time-consuming project. It can happen through small, consistent actions that show people you care and that you are a safe person to connect with. The first and most important bridge builder is the simple act of being fully present when you are with someone else, which means putting your phone away and giving them your complete attention. In a world full of distractions, giving someone the gift of your undivided attention is one of the most powerful ways to say, "You matter to me." When you listen without planning your response, without glancing at notifications, the other person's brain registers this safety and begins to release oxytocin, building trust between you. This presence also benefits you, as focusing on another person pulls you out of your own worries and stress, giving your brain a break. You are building a bridge one brick of attention at a time, creating a solid foundation for a relationship that can fuel your motivation. Make it a goal to have at least one conversation a day where you are truly, deeply present. Another practical way to build bridges is to become a person who follows through on your promises, no matter how small they seem. When you tell a friend you'll call them on Tuesday and you actually do, or when you commit to helping a coworker with a task and you show up, you are depositing coins in the trust bank. Every time you keep a promise, no matter how tiny, you send a signal to the other person's brain that you are reliable and safe, which stimulates oxytocin in both of you. This builds a reputation for being trustworthy, which makes people naturally want to be closer to you and support you in your own goals. On the other hand, when you constantly break small promises or cancel plans at the last minute, you are eroding the bridge of trust, making the other person's brain less likely to release oxytocin around you. Your word is your bond, and treating it with care is one of the most powerful social skills you can develop. People feel calm and motivated around those they can count on, and you want to be that person for the people in your life. Your reliability becomes a bridge that others are excited to cross to be in your world. Sharing meals with others is one of the oldest and most effective bridge-building rituals known to humanity, and it's a practice we have sadly let slip in our busy modern lives. When you sit down to eat with someone, without the distraction of a TV or phone, you are engaging in an ancient act of bonding that signals safety and community. Sharing food triggers the release of oxytocin because, for our ancestors, eating together meant you were part of a tribe that shared resources and looked out for one another. You don't need to cook a fancy meal. Even sharing a simple cup of coffee or tea with a colleague or neighbor can create a moment of connection. Make a point to invite someone to lunch, or suggest a potluck dinner with friends, or simply sit at the table with your family instead of eating in front of the TV. These shared moments of nourishment become the foundation for deeper conversations and stronger bonds. You are feeding your body and your relationships at the same time, building bridges of connection with every shared bite. The warmth you feel during these meals is the chemical warmth of oxytocin, gluing you together. Expressing appreciation and gratitude to the people in your life is another powerful bridge-building tool that costs nothing but means everything. We often think the people close to us know we appreciate them, but hearing it out loud triggers a powerful oxytocin release for both the giver and the receiver. Take a moment each day to tell someone specifically what you appreciate about them, not just a general "you're great," but something real and specific. You could say, "I really appreciated how you listened to me yesterday when I was stressed," or "Thank you for always making the coffee in the morning. It starts my day off right." These specific acknowledgments make the other person feel truly seen and valued, deepening your bond. This practice also trains your own brain to look for the good in people, which makes you feel more connected and positive in general. You become a person who spreads warmth and connection wherever you go, which naturally attracts people to you. The bridges you build with appreciation are strong and beautiful, built from the solid materials of genuine recognition and thanks. Start looking for reasons to thank the people around you, and watch your relationships transform. Finally, one of the most courageous ways to build a bridge is to be the first one to apologize when you've made a mistake or hurt someone's feelings. Pride and ego are the wrecking balls of relationships, constantly smashing the bridges we've worked so hard to build. A sincere apology, one that takes full responsibility without making excuses, signals to the other person's brain that the relationship is more important to you than being right. This vulnerability and humility trigger oxytocin release and can repair a damaged bridge faster than almost anything else. It shows that you are safe to be in a relationship with because you can admit when you're wrong and you care about the other person's feelings. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but it does mean you have to be accountable. When you apologize sincerely, you are not just fixing a problem. You are building an even stronger bridge than before, one reinforced by the knowledge that you can survive conflict and come out closer on the other side. These repaired bridges become some of the strongest connections in your life, sources of deep trust and motivation. Don't let your ego stand in the way of the connections that fuel your fire. Chapter 8: Endorphins, the Pain Maskers. Meet the fourth and final member of your Fantastic Four, the tough, resilient bodyguard known as endorphins, your body's very own natural painkillers. While dopamine gives you the rush of the chase, serotonin gives you quiet confidence, and oxytocin gives you warm connection. Endorphins give you the power to push through discomfort and come out stronger on the other side. They are released by your brain in response to pain or stress, and their job is to block pain signals and create a feeling of euphoria, often called the runner's high. This amazing chemical allows you to do hard things, like finish a tough workout, get through a difficult conversation, or even laugh so hard your stomach hurts, because it masks the pain and makes the effort feel rewarding. Endorphins are the reason why you can feel amazing after a challenging experience, why you can look back on a struggle and feel proud rather than traumatized. They are your internal backup team, cheering you on when things get tough and rewarding you for not giving up. Without endorphins, every small discomfort would feel unbearable, and we would never have the motivation to grow through challenge. Learning to gently trigger your endorphins is like building a callus on your brain, making you mentally tougher and more resilient with every small struggle you overcome. Think of endorphins as your body's way of saying, "I know this hurts, but it's worth it, so here's a little reward to keep you going." This is why people often feel a rush of happiness and clarity after a hard workout, even though the workout itself was painful. The endorphins released during the exercise block the pain and then leave you with a pleasant afterglow that makes you want to do it again. This chemical system is a brilliant evolutionary adaptation that allowed our ancestors to keep running from danger even when injured, or to keep hunting even when exhausted. In our modern lives, We can use this same system to build mental strength and resilience by intentionally seeking out small, manageable challenges. Every time you choose to take a cold shower, hold a plank for 5 more seconds, or have a difficult conversation you've been avoiding, you are triggering an endorphin release. You are training your brain that discomfort can lead to reward, which makes you less afraid of challenges in the future. You become someone who doesn't shy away from hard things, but actually seeks them out because you know the chemical payoff that awaits on the other side. One of the most accessible and joyful ways to boost your endorphins is through the simple act of laughter, which is truly the best medicine for your brain chemistry. When you have a really good, deep laugh, one that makes your stomach hurt and your eyes water, your brain releases a flood of endorphins that leave you feeling light and euphoric. This is why spending time with funny friends, watching a comedy, or even just finding humor in a stressful situation can instantly improve your mood and lower your perception of pain. Laughter is a signal to your body that everything is okay, that you are safe enough to let go and have fun, which allows the endorphins to flow freely. It's a social activity too, as laughing with others also boosts oxytocin, creating a powerful double dose of feel-good chemicals. In our serious, goal-oriented lives, we often forget to make time for pure, silly fun, and our brains suffer for it. Make a point to seek out humor every day, to not take yourself too seriously, and to find the funny side of life's little frustrations. Your endorphin system will thank you, and you'll find yourself feeling more resilient and motivated as a result. Exercise is the most famous trigger for endorphins, but you don't have to be a marathon runner to get the benefits. The key is to find a type of movement that pushes you just slightly out of your comfort zone, whether that's a brisk walk, a bike ride, a dance class, or lifting some weights. When you get your heart rate up and challenge your muscles, even for just 20 minutes, your brain releases endorphins to help you cope with the physical stress. This is why you often feel a sense of calm and clarity after moving your body, even if you felt tired and resistant beforehand. You have earned a chemical reward by doing something hard, and your brain wants you to remember that feeling so you'll do it again. This creates a positive feedback loop where exercise becomes not a chore, but a reliable way to feel good and build mental strength. You are literally conditioning your brain to associate effort with pleasure, which is the foundation of all motivation. Start where you are, do what you can, and notice how good you feel afterwards. That good feeling is your endorphins at work, rewarding you for choosing growth over comfort. Another powerful endorphin trigger that might surprise you is the practice of taking cold showers or exposing yourself briefly to cold temperatures. When the cold water hits your skin, your body experiences a shock of stress, and your brain responds by releasing a rush of endorphins to help you cope. This is why many people report feeling incredibly alert, energized, and even euphoric after a cold shower, with a mood boost that can last for hours. You are essentially giving your brain a tiny, manageable dose of stress that it can overcome, and the reward is a flood of natural painkillers that leave you feeling invincible. This practice also builds mental toughness, because every time you choose to step into the cold, you are proving to yourself that you can do hard things. You are building a reservoir of willpower and resilience that you can draw on in other areas of your life. Start slowly, perhaps with just 30 seconds of cold at the end of your warm shower, and gradually increase the time. You might just find that this simple, uncomfortable practice becomes one of your favorite ways to start the day with a burst of chemical energy and a powerful sense of accomplishment. Chapter 9. Finding Fun in Discomfort. Now that you've met your powerful endorphin system, it's time to get creative and learn how to find fun in discomfort, turning challenges into games that your brain actually looks forward to playing. The secret to building lasting motivation is to reframe your relationship with difficulty, to stop seeing it as something to avoid and start seeing it as an exciting opportunity for a chemical reward. The first step in this reframing is to start small and build what we can call a discomfort tolerance muscle. Just like you wouldn't go to the gym and try to lift the heaviest weight on your first day, You don't start by running a marathon or taking an ice bath for 10 minutes. You start with tiny, almost laughable challenges, like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, or holding a stretch for 5 extra seconds. Each time you do this small, uncomfortable thing and notice the feeling of pride afterwards, you are teaching your brain that discomfort equals reward. You are building a new neural pathway that associates challenge with pleasure rather than with fear. Over time, this muscle grows stronger, and you'll find yourself naturally seeking out bigger challenges because you trust the chemical payoff on the other side. You are turning the pain of effort into the pleasure of progress. One of the most fun ways to play with discomfort is to turn your daily tasks into a game with a reward system, a technique often called gamification. If you have a boring chore to do, like cleaning the house or organizing files, set a timer for 15 minutes and challenge yourself to see how much you can get done before the buzzer goes off. The time pressure creates a little bit of stress, which triggers a small endorphin release, and the act of beating your own record gives you a dopamine boost as well. You are essentially creating a mini adventure out of a mundane task, making your brain release motivational chemicals for something you would usually dread. You could also create a point system for yourself, where you earn points for doing hard things, and then cash those points in for a reward you truly enjoy. This could be something like, if I finish this difficult report, I get to watch an episode of my favorite show. This simple trick uses your brain's natural reward system to make hard tasks feel more appealing. You are becoming the game designer of your own life, creating levels, challenges, and rewards that keep you engaged and motivated. Suddenly, the things you used to avoid become exciting opportunities to level up. Another powerful concept is to embrace what's called microdosing adventure in your everyday life, which means looking for small opportunities to step slightly outside your comfort zone. This could be as simple as trying a food you've never tasted before, striking up a conversation with a stranger in line, or taking a different route on your walk home. These tiny adventures signal to your brain that the world is still full of novelty and manageable risk, which keeps your endorphin and dopamine systems active and engaged. You are training your brain to be flexible and curious, rather than rigid and fearful. When you regularly Chinese letter risks, the bigger challenges in life, like a career change or a difficult conversation, start to feel less terrifying. You have built a mental muscle that knows how to handle uncertainty because you practice it every day in small ways. Life becomes a grand adventure, not a series of threats to be avoided. Start looking at your daily routine as a playground for tiny experiments, and watch how your overall motivation and resilience begin to soar. You are not just living life, you are actively exploring it. Connecting with others who also enjoy pushing their limits can make the process of seeking discomfort not only easier, but exponentially more fun. When you join a running club, a hiking group, or even just have an accountability partner who also likes to try hard things, you combine the power of endorphins with the power of oxytocin. The shared struggle of a challenging hike or workout creates a powerful bond between people, and the laughter and support make the discomfort feel lighter. You feed off each other's energy, pushing each other to go further than you would alone, and you share in the chemical reward at the end. This social aspect of challenge is often missing when we try to be motivated in isolation, and it's one of the most powerful tools we have. You are not just building your own resilience. You are part of a tribe of people who are all committed to growth. Knowing that others are on the journey with you makes the hard days easier and the good days even more celebratory. Find your people, the ones who say yes to adventure, and let their energy fuel your own fire. Finally, one of the most important aspects of finding fun in discomfort is learning to celebrate the effort itself, not just the outcome. In a goal-obsessed world, we are trained to only feel good when we achieve the final result, which means we miss out on the chemical rewards available during the entire journey. When you finish a hard workout, celebrate the fact that you showed up and did it, regardless of how fast you went or how many calories you burned. When you have a difficult conversation, celebrate your courage in having it, regardless of how the other person responded. By shifting your focus to celebrating the effort, you trigger dopamine and endorphins for the very act of trying, which makes you want to keep trying. You are no longer dependent on external results to feel motivated. You generate motivation internally through the simple act of engaging with challenge. This creates an unstoppable cycle where effort leads to reward, which leads to more effort. You become someone who loves the process of growth, and the results become a natural byproduct of that love. Celebrate the warrior who shows up, not just the trophy they might win, and you will have unlocked a lifelong source of motivation. Chapter 10. The Motivation Saboteur: Cortisol, the Stress Monster. So far, we've spent our time together getting to know the Fantastic Four, your brain's happy helpers that fuel your motivation and well-being. But now, we must turn our attention to the villain of our story, a chemical that actively blocks your motivation and steals your joy, and its name is cortisol. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone, and it's not inherently evil. In fact, it's essential for survival in short bursts. When you're in danger, cortisol floods your system, giving you a burst of energy, sharpening your focus, and preparing you to fight or run away. The problem in our modern world is that this system, designed for rare, life-threatening emergencies, is constantly triggered by everyday stressors like traffic, work emails, and bad news. When cortisol stays high for too long, it becomes a monster that shuts down all the systems that make you feel good and motivated. It directly blocks the receptors for dopamine and serotonin, making it impossible to feel pleasure or excitement, no matter how hard you try. It's like a dark cloud that covers the sun, and until you move the cloud, you can't feel the warmth. Understanding this saboteur is crucial because you can't boost your happy chemicals effectively if the stress monster is running wild in your brain. Imagine your brain as a beautiful garden where your Fantastic Four are the flowers, and cortisol is a thick, choking weed that crowds them out and steals all their nutrients. When cortisol is high, your body goes into survival mode, and survival mode does not care about your long-term goals, your happiness, or your connections with others. It only cares about getting through the immediate threat, which means it shuts down the systems for dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and even dampens the effect of endorphins. This is why, when you are chronically stressed, you lose interest in your hobbies, you feel irritable with loved ones, you struggle to feel confident, and even exercise feels like a chore rather than a release. You might find yourself eating junk food for a quick hit of pleasure, which only adds to the problem, or scrolling mindlessly on your phone, desperately seeking a dopamine hit that your blocked receptors can't fully receive. You are not lazy or weak during these times. Your brain is simply being poisoned by a chemical that is telling it to hunker down and survive. The first step to defeating this monster is to recognize its face, to understand that your lack of motivation is a chemical state, not a personal failing. When you feel that heavy, stuck feeling, you can now name it. My cortisol is high right now, and it's blocking my happy chemicals. One of the most common ways the stress monster operates is through a habit called future tripping, which means constantly worrying about things that haven't happened yet. Your brain is amazing at imagining future scenarios, but when you spend your days imagining worst-case outcomes, you trigger the same cortisol response as if those bad things were actually happening right now. You are literally stressing your body over events that exist only in your imagination, flooding your system with cortisol for no real reason. This constant state of low-grade anxiety keeps your happy chemicals blocked and leaves you feeling drained and unmotivated. You might worry about an upcoming presentation, a difficult conversation, or your financial future, and each worry is a little drop of cortisol that adds to the toxic pool in your brain. Learning to catch yourself when you're future tripping is a vital skill for protecting your motivation. You can gently ask yourself, is this problem happening right now in this moment? Usually, the answer is no, and you can bring your attention back to the present, where things are often just fine. You are not ignoring real problems. You are simply refusing to let imaginary ones steal your present peace and future motivation. Another way cortisol sabotages your motivation is by disrupting your sleep, creating a vicious cycle that's hard to break. When cortisol is high at night, it keeps your brain in a state of alertness, making it difficult to fall asleep or stay asleep. Then, when you don't get enough quality sleep, your brain produces even more cortisol the next day to help you function, which keeps the stress monster well fed and active. This is why after a bad night's sleep, everything feels harder, your emotions are closer to the surface, and you have zero motivation for your goals. You are trying to run a car on an empty tank while also dealing with an engine that's overheating. Protecting your sleep is one of the most powerful ways to lower cortisol and give your happy chemicals a chance to come back online. This means creating a calm bedtime routine, putting away screens an hour before sleep, and making your bedroom a sanctuary of rest. You are not being lazy by prioritizing sleep. You are being a smart chemist who knows that a well-rested brain is a motivated brain. Sleep is when your brain washes away the stress chemicals of the day, so don't rob yourself of this essential reset. Finally, it's important to understand that your thoughts are powerful chemical switches, and negative self-talk is like pouring gasoline on the stress monster. When you constantly tell yourself things like, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess up," or "I'll never reach my goals," your brain believes you and releases cortisol to match the perceived threat. You are literally stressing yourself out with your own inner voice, keeping your happy chemicals blocked with a steady stream of negative thoughts. This is why practicing self-compassion, being kind to yourself when you struggle, is not just a nice idea. It's a powerful chemical intervention. When you talk to yourself like you would talk to a good friend, with understanding and encouragement, you lower cortisol and create space for serotonin and dopamine to flow. You have a choice in every moment about the story you tell yourself, and that choice directly impacts your brain chemistry. Becoming aware of your inner critic and gently replacing its harsh words with kinder, more realistic ones is one of the most important skills you can learn. You are not just changing your thoughts, you are changing the chemical environment of your brain, starving the stress monster and feeding the motivation you deserve. Chapter 11. Taming the stress monster before it eats your drive. Now that you know exactly who the villain is and how it operates, it's time to arm yourself with simple, powerful weapons to tame the stress monster and protect your motivation. The first and most immediate weapon you have is your own breath, which is always with you and completely free to use. When you are stressed and cortisol is flooding your system, your breathing becomes shallow and rapid, which signals to your brain that the danger is still present. By consciously slowing down your breath, taking long, deep inhales and even longer, slower exhales, you send a direct signal to your nervous system that says, "It's okay, we are safe now." This activates the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of you responsible for rest and relaxation, and it directly lowers cortisol levels. A simple technique is to inhale for a count of 4, hold for 4, and exhale for 6 or 8, making the exhale longer than the inhale to trigger the relaxation response. You can do this anywhere, at your desk, in your car, or even in the middle of a stressful conversation, and it works almost instantly. You are not just calming your mind, you are chemically telling your body to stop producing the stress monster. This is your secret weapon, always available, always powerful. Another incredibly effective tool for taming cortisol is the practice of moving your body, but in a gentle, mindful way rather than a punishing one. While intense exercise can temporarily raise cortisol, gentle movement like walking, stretching, or yoga has been shown to significantly lower it. When you take a slow walk in nature, paying attention to the trees and the sky, you are giving your brain a break from the stressors that keep cortisol high. The rhythmic movement and change of scenery act as a reset button, allowing your stress levels to drop and your happy chemicals to begin flowing again. This doesn't have to be a long commitment. Even 10 minutes of gentle movement can make a huge difference in your chemical state. You might try a few simple yoga stretches when you wake up, or a leisurely walk after dinner to help process the day's stress. The key is to move without a goal, without trying to burn calories or get fit, just moving for the pure joy of feeling your body in space. You are washing away the stress chemicals with gentle motion, creating space for motivation to return. Connecting with nature is another powerful antidote to the stress monster, and it's a tool that is often overlooked in our concrete, indoor world. Studies have shown that spending time in green spaces, or even just looking at images of nature, can lower cortisol levels and blood pressure significantly. There is something deeply calming about trees, water, and sky that signals to our ancient brains that we are in a safe, resource-rich environment. When you feel the stress monster creeping in, try to step outside, even for 5 minutes, and just look at the sky or touch a tree. If you can't get outside, looking at a plant or even a picture of a natural scene can help. You are reminding your brain that there is a bigger, calmer world beyond your immediate problems. This perspective shift is chemically powerful, pulling you out of the narrow, fearful focus that cortisol creates. Make it a habit to find small moments of nature connection in your day, and let the peace of the natural world lower your stress and restore your balance. You are not escaping reality. You are returning to a deeper reality that has always been there to support you. The people we surround ourselves with can either feed the stress monster or help us tame it, which is why choosing your company wisely is an act of chemical self-care. Some people are toxic stressors who constantly complain, create drama, or make you feel anxious, and being around them keeps your cortisol levels high. Other people are calming anchors who make you feel safe, heard, and understood, and being with them actively lowers your stress. You have more control over this than you might think. You can choose to spend less time with people who drain you and more time with people who replenish you. This might mean setting boundaries with a difficult family member, or simply making more plans with a friend who always makes you laugh. When you are with someone who truly listens and accepts you, your brain releases oxytocin, which directly counteracts cortisol. You are using the power of connection to fight the monster of stress, and this is one of the most effective strategies available. Build a tribe of calm anchors, people who make you feel safe, and let their presence be a medicine for your stressed brain. Finally, one of the most powerful long-term strategies for taming cortisol is to cultivate a practice of acceptance and letting go of the things you cannot control. So much of our stress comes from fighting reality, from wishing things were different than they are. We stress about the weather, about other people's opinions, about past mistakes we can't change, and this constant resistance keeps our cortisol levels chronically high. Practicing acceptance doesn't mean you give up or stop trying to improve your life. It means you stop wasting energy fighting the unchangeable. When you accept that traffic is heavy, that your boss is in a bad mood, or that you made a mistake yesterday, you free up massive amounts of mental energy that was being consumed by stress. This energy can then be used for things you can actually control, like your next action, your attitude, or your response. Acceptance is a chemical release, a letting go of the tension that feeds the stress monster. You are choosing peace over the exhausting fight with reality, and your brain will thank you with lower cortisol and more room for motivation. Practice saying, "It is what it is," and feel the weight lift from your shoulders. Chapter 12. The Morning Motivation Cocktail. Imagine starting every single day with a natural rush of dopamine, a calm wave of serotonin, a warm feeling of connection, and a resilient boost of endorphins, all before you even leave your house. This is not a fantasy. It's the power of creating a simple morning routine designed specifically to stir up all your happy chemicals. Think of it as mixing your own personal motivation cocktail, a delicious blend of activities that set your brain chemistry up for a winning day. The most important thing to remember is that this doesn't have to be a long, complicated ritual. Even 10 to 15 minutes of intentional morning actions can have a profound effect on how you feel and function for the rest of the day. The goal is to wake up your fantastic four gently and positively, rather than jolting them awake with the stress of a phone notification or the rush of being late. You are the DJ of your own brain chemistry, and the morning is your prime time to set the perfect vibe for the hours ahead. Let's mix up a simple, powerful morning motivation cocktail that you can customize to fit your own life and preferences. The first ingredient in your morning motivation cocktail is a splash of sunlight, your natural serotonin booster. As soon as you wake up, try to get outside or at least sit by a window and let the natural light hit your eyes for a few minutes. This light exposure signals your brain to stop producing the sleep hormone melatonin and start ramping up serotonin production, setting you up for a calm, confident mood throughout the day. You don't need to stare at the sun, just be in the light, perhaps while you sip your morning tea or coffee. This simple act aligns your internal body clock with the external world, regulating your sleep cycle and improving your energy levels naturally. It's a chemical signal that says, a new day has begun, and it's time to feel good. If it's cloudy, being outside is still much brighter than being indoors, so make the effort to step out for just 5 minutes. This is the foundation of your morning cocktail, the base note of calm confidence that everything else will build upon. You are literally letting the sun reset your brain for a motivated day. The next ingredient is a small, intentional movement to wake up your endorphins and get your blood flowing. This doesn't mean you need to do an intense workout. A few gentle stretches, a short walk around the block, or even a minute of dancing to your favorite song can do the trick. The goal is to gently challenge your body, to wake up your muscles and your nervous system, and to trigger that first small release of endorphins. This movement also boosts blood flow to your brain, delivering oxygen and nutrients that help you think more clearly and feel more alert. When you move your body first thing, you are telling your brain that you are an active person who engages with life, which sets a powerful tone for the rest of the day. You are also building that discomfort tolerance muscle we talked about, proving to yourself that you can do hard things, even if the hard thing is just a few morning stretches. This ingredient adds a spark of resilience to your cocktail, preparing you to handle whatever challenges come your way. Your body and brain will thank you for this gentle wake-up call. The third powerful ingredient is a moment of connection, which could be with yourself, with a loved one, or even with a pet, to stir up some early oxytocin. This could be giving your partner or child a long, warm hug, sitting quietly with your cat on your lap, or even just sending a loving text to a friend to wish them a good day. If you live alone, you could spend a minute placing your hand on your heart and sending yourself some loving kindness, silently saying, "I wish myself a happy, peaceful day." This act of connection, whether with others or with yourself, releases oxytocin and creates a feeling of safety and belonging that buffers against the stress of the day ahead. It reminds you that you are not alone, that you are part of a web of caring relationships, and this knowledge is deeply calming. Starting your day with this warm, fuzzy feeling sets a foundation of trust and openness that makes you more resilient to social stress. You are gluing yourself to the world in a positive way before the world has a chance to stress you out. This ingredient adds a layer of warmth and security to your chemical cocktail. The final and most crucial ingredient in your morning motivation cocktail is a tiny win to kickstart your dopamine system for the day. This should be something so small and easy that there is zero chance of failure, like making your bed, drinking a full glass of water, or writing down one thing you're grateful for. The act of setting a tiny intention and immediately achieving it gives your brain its first delicious hit of dopamine, the "let's go" molecule. This small success creates momentum, making it easier to move on to the next task and the next, building a chain of tiny wins that keeps your motivation engine running all day. You have started your day as a winner, and your brain now expects more winning. This practice also builds a sense of control and agency, reminding you that you are the one in charge of your life, starting from the very first moment of the day. By the time you've had your sunlight, your movement, your connection, and your tiny win, you have mixed a powerful potion that primes your brain for peak motivation. You are no longer reacting to the day. You are proactively setting the chemical stage for your own success and happiness. Cheers to your new morning ritual. Chapter 13. Designing your environment for chemical wins. Now that you understand how to mix your internal chemical cocktail, it's time to look at the world around you, because your external environment is constantly and silently influencing your brain chemistry. Your room, your phone, your workspace, and even the people you see every day are either helping your Fantastic Four thrive or feeding your stress monster. Most people try to change their mood and motivation through sheer willpower while living in an environment that is secretly working against them, which is like trying to lose weight while living in a candy store. The good news is that you have the power to become an architect of your own environment, designing a space that naturally supports the brain chemistry you want. This chapter is about making your external world work for you, not against you, by making small, deliberate changes that lead to big chemical wins. You will learn to clear the clutter that creates stress, add elements that spark joy and connection, and remove the traps that drain your dopamine. Get ready to transform your surroundings into a motivation machine. Let's start with the biggest chemical disruptor in most modern environments: your phone. This little device in your pocket is designed by some of the smartest people in the world to keep you hooked, delivering tiny, unpredictable hits of dopamine every time you get a notification or see something new. The problem is that these cheap, easy dopamine hits exhaust your brain's reward system, leaving you with less motivation for real-world goals that require effort. Your phone is like a slot machine in your pocket, constantly tempting you to pull the lever and get a quick chemical fix. To design an environment for chemical wins, you need to create some boundaries with this device. This could mean turning off all non-essential notifications, keeping your phone in another room while you work, or using a physical alarm clock so you don't need it by your bed. You are not giving up your phone. You are simply putting it in its place as a tool you use, rather than a master that controls you. By reducing the constant digital stimulation, you allow your dopamine system to reset and become sensitive again to the more subtle, lasting rewards of real life. You are clearing the chemical clutter from your environment. Next, let's look at the physical space where you spend most of your time, whether that's your home, your office, or both. Clutter and mess are not just visual annoyances. They are constant, low-grade stressors that keep your cortisol levels slightly elevated. Every time you see a pile of papers you need to sort or a drawer you need to organize, your brain registers it as an unfinished task, a tiny demand on your attention that adds to your mental load. This background stress slowly drains your energy and blocks your happy chemicals from flowing freely. Designing your environment for chemical wins means creating spaces that feel calm, ordered, and inviting. This doesn't mean your home needs to look like a magazine. It means taking a few minutes each day to tidy up, to put things back in their place, and to clear your surfaces. When you walk into a clean, organized room, your brain can finally relax, and you create space for creativity and motivation to enter. You are removing the visual weeds from your garden so your mental flowers can grow. A calm space truly leads to a calm mind. Adding elements of nature to your indoor environment is another powerful way to boost your brain chemistry passively. Studies have shown that simply having a plant in your room can lower stress, improve mood, and even increase productivity. The color green is calming to the human brain, and the presence of living things reminds us of the natural world, which lowers cortisol. You don't need a jungle. Even one small, healthy plant on your desk can make a difference. If you can't have live plants, pictures of nature scenes, a small fountain with flowing water, or even natural materials like wood and stone can have a similar calming effect. You are bringing the outdoors in, creating a sanctuary that supports your serotonin and lowers your stress. These natural elements work on your brain at a subconscious level, constantly whispering you are safe, you are in a good place throughout your day. This is passive chemical management at its finest, making your environment work for you even when you're not thinking about it. Let nature be your silent partner in motivation. Finally, consider the people who populate your environment, as we briefly touched on earlier, because their impact on your chemistry is immense. If your workspace or home is filled with people who are constantly negative, complaining, or stressed, you will absorb that energy, and your cortisol will rise to match the environment. You are chemically influenced by the emotional states of those around you, a phenomenon called emotional contagion. Designing your environment for chemical wins means, as much as possible, curating your social surroundings. This might mean seeking out a different table in the lunchroom, joining a club or group of positive, motivated people, or having honest conversations with loved ones about the emotional atmosphere in your home. You have a right to an environment that supports your well-being, and sometimes that means making hard choices about who you spend your time with. You are the average of the people you surround yourself with, not just in habits, but in brain chemistry. Choose to surround yourself with people who lift you up, who make you feel calm and excited about life, and let their positive chemistry become part of your daily environment. You are building a tribe that chemically supports the best version of you. Chapter 14. The Food Connection Fuel for Your Factory. You now know that your brain is a powerful chemistry lab, but like any lab, it needs raw materials to create its products. The food you eat every single day is the fuel for your brain factory, providing the building blocks for dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, and endorphins. This chapter is not about strict diets or complicated meal plans. It's about understanding a few simple connections between what you put on your plate and how you feel in your head. When you learn to see food as information and fuel for your brain, you stop thinking about eating as just filling your stomach and start seeing it as a powerful way to support your motivation. You wouldn't put low-quality fuel in a high-performance car and expect it to run well, and the same is true for your incredible brain. The goal here is to give you simple, practical knowledge that helps you make food choices that keep your Fantastic Four happy and your stress monster at bay. Let's explore the food connection and learn how to eat for the brain you want. Let's start with dopamine, your motivation molecule, which is made from an amino acid called tyrosine, found in protein-rich foods. When you eat foods like eggs, fish, chicken, beef, dairy, beans, or nuts, you are providing your brain with the raw material it needs to produce dopamine. This is why a breakfast with some protein can help you feel more focused and motivated throughout the morning, compared to a breakfast of just sugary cereal or toast, which can lead to a crash. Protein helps stabilize your blood sugar and provides a steady stream of building blocks for your brain chemicals. You don't need to eat huge amounts. Just including a source of protein in each meal can make a noticeable difference in your energy and drive. Think of protein as the bricks and mortar for your dopamine factory, the essential material without which production slows down. When you feel your motivation flagging, ask yourself if you've been feeding your brain the protein it needs to build its motivational molecules. This simple awareness can transform your relationship with food. Serotonin, your I matter molecule, has a more complex relationship with food, but it heavily depends on carbohydrates to help it enter your brain. Tryptophan, the amino acid that makes serotonin, needs a carbohydrate trigger to cross the blood-brain barrier effectively. This is why eating a healthy, complex carbohydrate like oatmeal, sweet potatoes, or brown rice can sometimes create a feeling of calm satisfaction. However, the type of carbohydrate matters greatly. Simple, refined carbs like white sugar and white flour can cause a quick spike in blood sugar followed by a crash, which can leave you feeling irritable and low. Complex carbohydrates, on the other hand, provide a steady release of energy and support a stable, calm mood. This doesn't mean you should eat a plate of pasta to feel good. It means pairing complex carbs with protein for a balanced meal that supports steady serotonin. Think of carbohydrates as the delivery truck that helps the tryptophan get to where it needs to go in your brain. When you eat balanced meals, you are ensuring your serotonin factory has both the materials and the delivery system it needs. Your gut health is also profoundly connected to your brain chemistry, particularly serotonin production. As a huge amount of your body's serotonin is actually made in your gut, this means that the health of your digestive system directly impacts your mood and sense of well-being. Eating foods that support a healthy gut, like fermented foods, yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut, fiber-rich fruits and vegetables, and drinking plenty of water can have a positive effect on your mental state. When your gut is happy, it sends signals to your brain that all is well, supporting a calm and positive mood. On the other hand, a diet high in processed foods and sugar can lead to gut inflammation, which can contribute to feelings of anxiety and low mood. You are not just feeding yourself. You are feeding the trillions of tiny bacteria in your gut that help regulate your mood. This connection between your belly and your brain is so strong that it's often called the second brain. By nourishing your gut with whole, natural foods, you are supporting your entire brain chemistry system from the inside out. A happy gut truly leads to a happy mind. Finally, don't underestimate the power of hydration, as your brain is about 75% water, and even mild dehydration can significantly lower your energy, focus, and mood. When you are dehydrated, your brain has to work harder to perform the same tasks, which drains your mental resources and leaves you feeling tired and unmotivated. Drinking enough water throughout the day is one of the simplest and most effective ways to support your brain chemistry. It helps deliver nutrients to your brain cells and carries away waste products, keeping your internal factory running smoothly. This doesn't mean you need to carry a giant water bottle everywhere, but being mindful of your intake and drinking when you're thirsty is essential. You might also get water from foods like fruits and vegetables, which contribute to your overall hydration. Think of water as the oil that keeps all the machinery in your brain working without friction. By staying properly hydrated, you are giving your fantastic for the environment they need to do their best work, fueling your motivation with one of the simplest and most available resources on the planet. Chapter 15. Your Personal Motivation Prescription. We have traveled a long and exciting journey together, learning about the fantastic 4 chemicals that run your brain and the simple tools you can use to manage them. Now, it's time to bring all this knowledge together and create something uniquely yours, your personal motivation prescription. This is not a one-size-fits-all plan, because your brain is as unique as your fingerprint, and what boosts my dopamine might not work the same way for you. The goal of this chapter is to teach you how to become your own chemist, how to experiment, observe, and figure out the exact formula that helps you feel motivated, confident, connected, and resilient. You will learn to listen to the signals your brain is sending you and respond with the right tool from your new toolbox. This is the most empowering part of the journey, the moment you stop following someone else's rules and start writing your own. Get ready to put on your lab coat and become the scientist of your own amazing brain. The first step in creating your personal prescription is to become a curious observer of your own moods and energy levels throughout the day. For the next week, try keeping a simple journal, not of everything you do, but of how you feel at different times. Notice when your motivation is highest and what you were doing just before that feeling hit. Notice when you feel that slump of low energy or that fog of low mood, and write down what happened in the hour leading up to it. You are looking for patterns, for clues about what activities, foods, or interactions trigger your happy chemicals and which ones feed your stress monster. This is not about judging yourself. It's about gathering data, like a scientist collecting samples. You might discover that a short walk after lunch always boosts your afternoon energy, or that scrolling through social media before bed consistently leaves you feeling anxious. This information is gold, because it gives you a personalized map of your own brain chemistry. You are becoming the expert on you. Once you've gathered some data, it's time to start experimenting with the tools from this book in a deliberate way. Choose one tool that seems promising based on your observations and try it for a few days. For example, if you notice you feel sluggish in the mornings, you might experiment with the morning motivation cocktail we discussed. If you notice you feel lonely and unmotivated in the evenings, you might experiment with calling a friend to trigger some oxytocin. The key is to try one thing at a time so you can clearly see its effect. Treat it as a fun experiment, not a test you can pass or fail. Ask yourself, how did that feel? Did I notice any change in my mood or energy? If it worked, great, you can add it to your personal prescription. If it didn't, that's also great data, and you can try something else. You are building a personalized toolkit through curiosity and self-compassion, not through force and judgment. This process of experimentation is itself a dopamine booster, as you are actively engaging with your own life in a playful, curious way. Another crucial part of your personal prescription is learning to identify which of your Fantastic Four needs a boost in any given moment. When you feel that flat, unmotivated, bored feeling, that's often a signal that your dopamine is low. When you feel insecure, irritable, or like you don't matter, that's a signal that your serotonin might need some attention. When you feel lonely, disconnected, or like you don't trust anyone, that's a signal for oxytocin. When you feel overwhelmed by a challenge or like you just can't push through, that's a signal that you might need to trigger some endorphins. And when you feel that heavy, anxious, stuck feeling, that's a signal that your cortisol is too high and you need to use your stress-damming tools. By learning this simple language of your brain, you can move from feeling like a victim of your moods to being a skilled responder. You can look at a feeling and say, I know what you need, and then reach into your toolbox for the right solution. This is the ultimate form of self-care, responding to your own needs with precision and kindness. Finally, remember that your personal motivation prescription is not a static document. It's a living, evolving guide that will change as you change. What works for you in your 20s might be different in your 30s, and what works in the summer might be different in the winter. Your brain is constantly adapting, and your relationship with it should be a continuous conversation, not a one-time lecture. Be patient with yourself on this journey and celebrate the fact that you are now equipped with knowledge that most people never have. You know that your feelings are not random or your fault, but are powerful chemical signals you can learn to influence. You have the tools to boost your dopamine, lift your serotonin, deepen your oxytocin, harness your endorphins, and tame your cortisol. You are no longer waiting for motivation to find you. You are actively creating it from the inside out. Your personal motivation prescription is the key to a life where you feel energized, confident, connected, and resilient, not by chance, but by design. Go forth and be the brilliant chemist of your own beautiful brain. Conclusion. You have now reached the end of this book, but you are truly just at the beginning of an exciting new relationship with yourself. We have traveled through the landscape of your brain together, meeting the Fantastic Four chemicals that shape your every feeling and action. You have learned that dopamine is your let's go fuel for chasing goals. Serotonin is your quiet confidence that tells you you matter. Oxytocin is the warm glue of connection that binds you to others. And endorphins are your resilient bodyguards that help you push through pain. More importantly, you have discovered that you are not a passive passenger in this chemical journey. You are the active chemist, the one who can mix these powerful formulas through simple, daily choices. You now hold the keys to a toolkit filled with practices that can lower your stress monster, cortisol, and boost your motivation on demand. The days of feeling like a victim of your moods are over, replaced by a new era of curiosity and empowerment. You have the knowledge to decode your brain's signals and respond with exactly what it needs to thrive. As you close this book and step back into your life, carry with you the simple truth that you are in control of more than you ever realized. Your motivation is not a mystery, and your happiness is not a matter of luck. They are states of being that you can cultivate with intention and care. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and your first step is simply to begin noticing. Notice how you feel when you move your body, when you connect with a friend, when you get morning sunlight, when you eat a nourishing meal. Become a fascinated observer of your own incredible brain chemistry, and let that fascination guide you toward the choices that make you feel most alive. You are a walking, breathing miracle of biology, and you now have the owner's manual. Go out there and create the motivated, joyful, connected life you deserve, one small chemical win at a time. The power has been inside you all along, and now you know exactly how to use it.